So today, after a day of a day after the laser hair removal, face is hurting a little bit. That's normal. Today, me and a friend went to the Computer History Museum, and it was actually quite fun. I got to see a bunch of computers, a bunch of very historic computers, in person for the first time. Yeah, I had a lot of fun there. I didn't read any of this stuff. I was just like, oh, that's the great supercomputer. That's an IBM System 360. That's a magnetic drum memory. That's whatever. So that was pretty fun. They give you these pins. Okay, it costs $15 to get in, but it's a museum, so it's put together really nicely. This is like a little day pass. They got the green one. Evidently, every single day of the week is a different color. I think it might be randomized, but so that means there's probably 7 different colors of these that say, like, they have like the symbol on the Computer History Museum on them. I'm actually pretty excited about this. This is actually pretty cool. Also got some postcards from there, like we have this one that's inside of some guidance computer for a missile, for a nuclear missile. And got the IBM 2401 tape drives. I fucking love these things. I've been wanting. I want to make a reproduction, at least one of these tape drives, but they are just so cool. It's 75 cents per postcard. I think, no, I gotta get them at least. I can always mail them to somebody. That'd be kind of cool, I think. Mail them to somebody. It's like, I don't know, just a thing I could do. That's pretty much it. It's funny. My friend wanted to bring me to the Computer History Museum because I've been like kind of. For the longest time I've been fascinated by the IBM System 360 series, and he was like, "Well, let's just take you to the Computer History Museum so you can kind of get it out of your system, and maybe you'll be happy with just seeing one." But no, I want an IBM System 360. I would like, because a while back I was going to buy an IBM System 360 control panel on eBay, but I lost the bid. It went up to about $3,000. Now I'm kind of like, it's so rare. Maybe I should have put $3,000 just for the System 360 mainframe control panel, but whatever. Or it was like $2,000. I can't remember what the price was. But yeah, it's either way. Someday I'm gonna have a System 360. It'll be like a replica one. Not entirely truthful of replica. Like, it won't be like exact pin for pin everything, because what I'd actually do is I would build it to where it looks exactly the same on the outside, but on the inside is actually a relay computer, or just a discrete transistor computer that I've been wanting to build ever since I was 10. Because there's been this computer architecture that I've worked on ever since I was 10 years old. That's whenever I first started getting into old computers, especially the IBM System 360. I've loved them for a very long time. But basically, when I was 10, I first started thinking about, okay, how do you make a computer? And I didn't know much about this kind of stuff. I didn't know how a transistor works. I didn't know there was a thing called a relay. I didn't really know how an electron tube works. So I decided, you know what, I should have an electromagnet and a little thing that the electromagnet will flip a switch. So basically I invented the relay without even, like, in my own little world I invented the relay. I didn't really it had already been invented years, like a century before me. But I didn't even know that was actually a thing. So what I did was I got some speakers from some old radios, because you have radios laying around, and I got one of the tiny speakers. The tiny speakers, on them they had metallized, like, a little round bit in the front of the speaker. So I put a paperclip over it. So whenever you energize it, the speaker pops out, touches the paperclip, and makes the connection. So it is the relay. So I actually made, I put a bunch of those speakers, I glued them into a little like suitcase that I had, and I hooked the wires up to the control panel on the front, and I got it to save them as bits. So that's pretty fun. It just took a while for me to get this far. So this is probably, I was around like 11 years old at this time, maybe 11 or 12, because this is a long thing where I was like tinkering around with stuff. But yeah, I actually, at first, before I figured out that I could use the speakers, I took a beaker, or well, a test tube, a plastic test tube, that's what it was, or a sample container or whatever. I chopped the bottom off of it, put a plug in there, a magnetic plug, and then wrapped a wire around, because the theory was I would fill it with water, then when I want to actuate it, I would energize the coil, that'd pull up the plug, and the water would go down and like make a connection on like a cup that would catch it. But it's like, well, then I realized, oh wait, that's not resettable. You gotta take the water out on every single bit, and that's, you're not, no, just no. So that's whenever I went to making the entirely like mechanical one, where there's no fluid involved. It's just a relay basically. Well, anyway, so yeah, I got like, I think it was a couple of my homemade relays into a little suitcase, and I think I had some I had it hooked up to some LEDs on the front. Like I had like, it was just a piece of cardboard, but I poked the LEDs through it. And I didn't know how to solder at the time, really. I knew how to, but I mostly knew how to burn myself, so I didn't bother soldering. So at that time, I just basically had like, I would take Ethernet cable, like the Cat 5 Ethernet cable, and I'd cut it and I'd use it as like jumper wires, and I'd wrap it around. I'd wire wrap it around one component and move that, and run that wire and wrap it around the other component, and just hope they don't touch. But it's running on like 2 AA batteries, so it's fine. But yeah, I was able to add, I was able to, well, not really add, I was able to input, I was able to flip the switches, and the relays would stay, and then there was memory, and then they would like add it together for the thing. I can't remember, it's like a 2-bit system. That's my 2 bits. And then after that, I haven't built any other machines, but I've been thinking of designs for building my own machines, and I think so far I've gotten to a point where I cannot improve the design anymore without actually trying to build it and realizing how stupid it is. Because basically what all it's going to be is it's going to be a, well, man, I'm having a hard time remembering now. If I remember correctly, the highest point of like the state that I thought of, it was going to have like, it was able to draw lines and polygons and stuff on an oscilloscope. I was trying to do that. And of course, if you add a capacitor to the output of an oscilloscope, you can turn an angle into a curve, because it takes time for the voltage to move. So I was thinking like, oh, I could have like a variable capacitor, so I could turn like a square into a circle, because it would like go like that. I don't know. But because it would like, it wouldn't allow the voltages to just spike like that. It would be like, I believe that my system was going to be, it was focused around the RAM, because I was going to have like maybe 16 bits of RAM, which I could always expand that more, but I would have 16 bits of RAM, and then I would have a bunch of dip switches. So the dip switches would actually be the ROM, because if you're going to enter a program in, you don't have to enter it in on homemade RAM. If you're going to be wiring up the RAM, well, you might as well just have a bunch of dip switches, so each dip switch is the bits. So you can have just like a bunch of dip switches, like probably like 50 little dip switches, so it's 50 bytes of information, 50 commands. And I was going to, I thought I was going to see about doing like a 9-bit computer, because I wanted it to be where every single command, because I was going to make it to where the assembly language of it was actually a little more usable than most assembly language, in my opinion. Well, basically, each byte was going to be a command. So if you have like 9 bits, so 9 bits, so it's a 9-bit byte, it would be like what, 512 options? Well, if you have that, and you have your memory section, which you have the the non-writable memory, but you can read from it because it's the dip switches. It's just mechanical switches. Then you have like 4 bytes or more, however many I would make, of memory that can be added to and subtracted and altered by the computer. And so then what I would do is I would actually have a system that can access it. And I was thinking what I was actually going to do is I was going to have to where, I think at the time all I could figure out was, I would have one thing like the instructions, and then that would do something with the other thing. So it'd be kind of like there'd be like two like sections of memory. There'd be the instructions that it would run through, but then there would be the area that it can work with, like all the bytes it can change, and those could be in the same place. I don't really know. It really depends on just how you wire that like thing, like I don't really know what to call it, because also another thing I was going to see about was so this thing, it would go sequentially. It would read through all the commands. So it would read a command. Well, then what it would do? Well, it itself would be an expansion tray. So inside of there, let's say you have the go-to routine, subroutine. Well, you would have a big card, probably like more like just a big box full of relays and transistors or whatever, that its job would take that, and it would take like the following digit or whatever. It would take that, and then it would send the command, we should read the next digit. So it would read the next digit, and it would take care of telling the main computer system, we got to jump to here, so it'll go to here. So that block is that's one command. So if I want to add a different command into the system, like if I want to add like draw on the screen, I'll make a block that I pop in there, and it's connected to an oscilloscope, and it draws on the screen. So then the system talks to that. So whenever it goes and whenever it sees draw on the screen, whatever, it'll send that information off to this like little like circuit thing that it'll see that information and do whatever it's told. Unfortunately, with that, you'd have a lot of issues of like I imagine you'd have issues of like this thing could like still be doing something while this thing starts the next command. So this thing's already like doing something if it's a little slow or it's like in a loop, and then it like sends more information that way. It could mess the system up. It could. The least worst thing it could do is just it wouldn't finish that last command. If it's something like drawing on the screen, that's fine, whatever, we can see it, this is screen go away for a second. But if it's like a very crucial step where it's like, you have to add that thing and then multiply it, well, if you fail at adding then multiply it, you didn't add it, you just multiplied it. And so that was synchronizing all those parts. That was going to be a pain, but hey, I was like 14 at that time, so who cares? I can think about that stuff again. But I might go with transistors, because transistors are a little faster. But man, relays have that clickety-clacky sound. So much nicer. Well, for some reason my leg's hurting. Don't I know? Maybe I was sitting on it funny. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. See ya!